Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. As we begin and play a piece of music, I invite you to be in gallery view and to take some time just to look at and allow yourself to connect with all of those who are here with us this evening.
I will rise again through rain and floods and winds. Knock me down and I'll stand up. Oh, I will rise again. I will see again through the darkness where I've been. The clouds will pass, the sun will shine, and I will see again. Om Namah Shivaya, 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 Om Namah Shivaya. Namah Shivaya. Namah Shivaya. I will love again. Broken as I am. Life's too short to close my heart. I will love again. Om Namah Shivaya, 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 Om Namah Shivaya. I will rise again. I will rise again.
This poem is by a wonderful poet named Rosemary Watola Tromer, who has really been one of the sustaining forces in my life over the past year. And I've shared her poems with you many times at these gatherings. This one is called urgency. Again, the urge to bring gauze to the broken world, and medicine, and a plaster cast. Again, the urge to fix things, to heal them, to make them right. Again, the chance to do the work, which is to look in, to touch the pain but not become it, to see the world exactly as it is and still write it a love letter, to meet what is cracked with clarity, to mirror and grow whatever beauty we find. Again, the chance to do the work, which is to look in, to touch the pain but not become it, to see the world exactly as it is and still write it a love letter, to meet what is cracked with clarity, to mirror and grow whatever beauty we find. A year ago, literally this night, we came together in community as one spirit to pray together, to face uncertainty together, to support and hold each other, to give each other courage and inspiration, strength, and belief in possibility, that even out of the unthinkable, something wondrous and precious and beautiful and growthful and healing could emerge. When we began, we didn't actually expect to offer the gathering every week, but it was so clear that the longing to be in community was so powerful. And this has grown into something deeply precious to so many of us. A place to connect, a place to reflect, a place to learn, a place to share, a place to cry, a place to laugh, a place to explore, a place to see and be seen. I don't think any of us could even have imagined a year ago that within a year, more than 500,000 lives would be lost just in this country, let alone the number of lives all around the world. I don't think we could have imagined all of the other kinds of losses that have occurred over the past year, from natural disasters to isolation to loneliness. And so we can't really engage in exploring what this year has meant to all of us without taking time first to acknowledge all that we have lost, individually, and as a community. We would like to invite you to move into breakout groups of 8 people. And in your groups, the experience will be very, very simple. Each one of you will simply complete this sentence. One of the things I've lost this year is. One of the things I've lost this year. One of the things I've lost this year is physical hugs that have always been such a central part of my experience of being part of one spirit. I've missed that. So one of the things I've lost this year is hugs. And without comment or story, simply complete that sentence. And as each person speaks, take their loss into your heart by just bringing your hands to your heart and then acknowledging their loss with a little bow. And then go on to the next person. So each person will speak only one sentence. One of the things I've lost this year is, and everyone else receive and honor that loss. And when everyone has spoken, simply sit together in silence and tenderly and compassionately hold all of that loss. You'll have about 10 minutes in the breakouts, which should be plenty of time for each person to speak and also to have time together simply in silence. So David will now send you invitations to breakouts. So we'd love to hear from a few of you about what that was like to bear witness to each other's experience of loss and to hold each other in stillness and tenderness. Carolina.
Hello. I want to, the teenager in me wants to say awkward, because it does take attention and the presence of the heart. So it calls for some maturity to be with each other and to feel the emotions that are behind our words that span larger than the breakout room and the gathering. They reach out into the collective human consciousness, and it just calls for being present, and it's a stretch and it's a good one.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the things that community gives us the opportunity to do. Martha.
It was a space of such stillness and sanctuary and the ability to have tears, but without being overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
Very grateful.
Thank you, Martha. Brenda.
For me, it was the chance for community, which I have been missing so, so dearly. I have really missed it, and to connect with these other people, even with just a sentence, to feel them and to be with them and to just connect. It was just so beautiful and very moving for me.
Thank you, Brenda. Tamara.
To be in a space with people that I know have a heartfelt connection with me, even if I have not ever met them in person, and just spend time in silence with them after hearing what they have said, and to feel safe enough to say what I felt led to say at the moment was incredibly supportive. That our heart space is so powerful as we gather in community, and something I need much more of.
Thank you, Tamara. Diana.
Hi. I'm grateful for this space. It felt affirming to be heard in my vulnerability, which is hard for me to share, especially with my work. I have to be present in my job for others who are struggling at this time. I'm not struggling so much, but boy, there's a part of me that's incomplete. And in hearing other people who are from this particular community who are feeling the same way, it's affirming and comforting, I guess, and sad too. Really sad that so much of who we have been is altered.
Yes.
So,
Thank you, Diana. Susie.
It was beautiful and poignant and hard. It was the community that I too am missing. This is a very safe place to be. So I appreciate that this happened.
Thank you, Susie. Chad.
Hi, thank you. I found it so interesting to be on gallery view at the beginning and go to the screen, and every single thought was like, oh, I love that person, or oh, it's so good to see her. It was just joy. And then we get into the groups and everybody had something to share. And it just reminded me that we're literally in a world that, even though we don't see it, every single person is carrying some sort of grief. And my heart just like felt for every single person in my group. And not only that, but then I discovered I typically am the type that's like, I'm healthy, I've got a job, like everything's fine. But it kind of made me go, oh, this is actually important, to create space to just grieve, especially over this year. And I found it kind of remarkable at the end when like the Zoom countdown showed up and we had 60 seconds and not one person even flinched. Nobody ran for that button. We all just like savored every single one of those seconds to just be in that space together. And it was just, it was transformative and healing and beautiful and sweet and unexpected. So thank you.
Thank you, Chad. So we'll hear from Bridget. She'll be the last one.
one of the things that struck me as I listened to the sorrows in our small group is that our sorrows are often shared, that what somebody's heart was aching for is something that mine has ached for. And to say all of that into the space was humbling and connecting and really beautiful. I feel very grateful to have heard those other sorrows that somehow added to mine and yet uplifted as well.
Thank you, Bridget. Thank you, everybody. And we're going to go on now. Ilene.
Thank you, Diane. Thank you, everybody, for what you've shared so far. Having named and remembered and honored our losses from the past year, we can feel those deeply ingrained in our very beings. And while so much of the past year has been about losses of people, of freedom of movement, of security and safety, the past year has also given us the opportunity to learn so much. I've learned about myself, about my work, about the very world I've inhabited for nearly 62 years. Some of these learnings have been born of great pain, while others have inspired me to do, to act, and to be very different in the now. But they will also force me to be different when our world returns to something that looks like it was before March of 2020. But maybe force is the wrong word. Maybe inspire is actually what I hope it will be. So what have I learned over the past year? I've learned just how much actually being in the presence of people that I work with bring me joy. Heart-leaping, expansive, and completely unbridled joy. How each of them has a very distinct energy that emanates from their very presence. And how seeing people's faces in person was so different than on Zoom. But that Zoom could make me sense the reverberation of their in-person presence, even when we couldn't be together. And I also learned, as Diane mentioned earlier, how much we hug each other, so much more often than I realized. And then what that feeling was when it wasn't there. I also learned that while I thought I knew the pain and threats faced by the African-American community and other people of color, that I actually knew so little. I learned that I had protected myself from feeling their pain and the fullness of the terror that they may have experienced. I've been so profoundly changed by the opportunity to learn anew and to step into partnership where I can. I've also learned that the feeling of air on my face outside could be something that feels so fresh and so gentle, that by putting a safe distance between me and others and removing my mask and closing my eyes, I could feel the simple gratitude in ways I could never have predicted, like the wind was the gentle touch of God. But what will change now as we hope to go forward? I have found myself to be much more inspired by the flexibility that we've had and hope to inspire that in the way that I run One Spirit. I learned that spaciousness can be more creative than stick-to-itiveness, that we can break our hearts open if we simply listen to what they have to say, even if we are sad, lonely, or despairing. For being alone so much of the time has made me listen even more deeply, and I want that to continue. I fervently want this past year to make me a different person. And I want to not forget the teachings I've learned as I go forward. So what have you learned about yourself and about your world over the past year? What steps will you take forward with you when it becomes so easy to choose to forget? So we're now going to go into small breakouts to share with others. You'll be in groups of 3 with 4 minutes to each to share your learnings. So for a total of 12 minutes, and then we'll return. What have you learned? What do you hope to bring forward into our lives? David?
So again, we'd love to hear from a few of you what it was like to reflect on your own learnings and also to hear other people's learnings from the past year. And again, if you would raise your hand virtually, we'll be able to call on you. Susie.
Thank you. From the experience, I saw for the 3 of us the effort that we were consciously putting into reliving the year with the positive learnings. And it was a very deliberate choice to look at that and to feel it and to honor it in ourselves and in each other. Thank you.
Thank you, Susie. An important effort to make. Bill.
Yeah, it's been just a little bit. I live alone, and the contact that I've had with people live has been somewhat limited. And one of the things I've experienced that I hadn't experienced before is what it's like to be left out, left alone, and left behind. And I now understand what it might be like for someone who's incarcerated, who knows there's a life outside where he or she is, and there might be a phone call, but they still feel so removed from it.
Mm.
What it might be like for someone who's in a nursing home or someone who's unable to get out of the house for any other reason. And I can truly understand it now, how people can feel like they really just don't count because they're not part of anything. And I hadn't experienced it before. And I think that it's a hard lesson, but it's a valuable lesson to learn. And it's going to be valuable for me so that I can understand people who are going through it when this is over.
Yeah, thank you. And it sounds like for you, compassion went from being something conceptual to something that really is alive in your heart now. Other learnings. I've learned that beauty is as essential as oxygen for my soul. That one of the things that has really saved me and gotten me through this time has been immersing myself in the beauty of music, poetry, visual images. It's been a life, literally a lifeline. Yeah. Josh.
I've learned an enormous amount of gratitude. And I want to start with the most specific thing, which is thanking Ilene and you and everybody else who had anything to do with planning 2021 and the end and 20 at One Spirit, so that we actually made the transition better and faster than anybody else. And how it all fit together and how it worked astonishingly effortlessly, or at least it seemed effortless. And I don't take it for granted for a second. Gratitude also for Zoom, because I love the fact that it brings us all together and we can actually be truly an international group. And I have had other organizations and programs in which I've had international relationships. And I know we talk about it, but it was always like there were the people in the room and then there were the other people. And now we're all the same. And I have loved that. There's such gratitude in that, and I have to compare this with the AIDS epidemic. After 13 years, we never got a vaccine. So the miracle of the vaccine happening in less than 12 months is monumental. I don't want to go into the differences between the two diseases, but today is the perfect day to be doing this, because so much happened today that made us go, something really happened. This is not sort of, it happened today. It really happened today. And the fact is that people are getting the vaccines. They're in their bodies. This is not, it's not theoretical anymore. It's not fairy tale time. It is the real thing. And that has happened in less than a year.
Miraculous.
I'm in total and complete awe. There is no other word for it. And how wonderful to be able to be in awe, and the gratitude to know that it is, and to say, yes, I embrace this day. Like, I'm in love with today, literally. So there it is.
Yes, thank you, Josh. We're going to hear from Salima and then Catherine, and then we're going to move into the final part of our evening together. We'll probably go about 10 minutes over the hour. I hope that's okay with people. Salima.
Thank you. I learned that, or let me say it was confirmed, that I was born to be a listener. And I learned that the most important voice to listen to is the voice from the Holy Spirit that comes through me. Mm-hmm. And because of that, I learned that I am a poet. And I learned that very, very simple things can bring me joy. I learned that I am creative because I can make something out of nothing. And I didn't think of this when we were in the group, but I learned that I really am a homebody. I am so comfy, cozy. My son has to say, Mom, I think you need to get out. Because I love it. And if it were for my precious little Blazer here, my little dog, I would be here writing poetry and listening to people and just enjoying it. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Catherine.
I have learned much more experience of the depth and profundity of the bittersweet quality of resilience.
Thank you. What a wonderful thing for all of us to ponder and reflect on. The bittersweet quality of resilience. Great. So for the last part of our evening tonight, Josh's sharing was actually such a perfect segue. And that is that we will take some time now just to allow ourselves to experience gratitude for, even in the midst of sorrow, even in the midst of the losses of the past year, there have been learnings, there have even been blessings. The blessing of community. We were talking today in our staff meeting that that in many ways it feels like one spirit has become so much stronger and more vibrant as a community over the past year, as we've needed each other in a way that perhaps we hadn't recognized before. So we're going to play another piece of music. And as the music is playing, we invite you to just type your gratitudes into the chat for the blessings of community and the blessings of this community.
In this troubled time, we look to find a way to heal our world, to heal our hearts. In our confusion, when we don't know what to do, can we live for each other? In these troubled times, we look to find a way to heal our world, heal our hearts. In our confusion, when we don't know what to do, can we live for each other? Come together for each other. Come together for each other.
And our benediction tonight is also by Rosemary Watola Tromer, called Big Eden. As surely as I know how to spell harvest, I understood today that no matter our job titles, our work is gardener, always the same. Plant the seeds, tend what grows, nourish, pinch back, repeat. What a gift to see at last the size of the garden. What a gift to see at last the size of the garden we've grown. What a gift to be in service to the world, to pull up our sleeves, to smell the earth, to take what we've been given and make it better, to feed the others, to do it again. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for being part of One Spirit, part of this community, part of this family. Keep coming back. We're going to keep doing it again. David, can you let everyone unmute themselves?
Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Diane.
everybody.
Thank you.
Eileen.
So much, Diane and Elaine.
Diane, hi, Darren.
Thank you.
So much.
So good
Thank
to be
you.
with you all tonight.
Yes,
Hi, Jenny.
Good to see everyone.
great to see everyone.
Thank you all very much.
Bye-bye.